It's a new month at a new venue for Storm Beat the Champ, presented by BowlersMart. We're at the Tonawanda Bowling Center in Tonawanda, New York, and here's your lineup for today. Our returning champion, Derrick Geschwender, will face one of these challenges: Jarin Kurashige, Michael Weber, or Rick Frank. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Tonawanda, New York. I'm Paul Peck with Buffalo Bowling Hall of Famer Sue Nawojski. It's an interesting lineup today because of where some of these guys have come from. Jarin is from Hawaii. Michael Weber, right here in Tonawanda. Rick is from Canada. Derrick is from about 15 minutes away, but it's kind of cool to see the reach of this show continue to grow.
That's right. And then that little international flair that we're getting here is because we extend out past this area, but also people who are willing to come and bowl tournaments in other places. So you've got an experience variation here too. Some of these bowlers that come from wherever have bowled a lot of tournaments in a lot of different places. So they see this more often, where for Derrick it'll be the challenge of, can he use being the only left-hander to his advantage? Can he utilize that?
Yeah, and he's a classic Buffalo bowler, a very good Buffalo bowler who advances from our last menu and from our last venue, and that's always a little bit of a challenge. So we'll see how it all goes. We are all over the world for this week's edition of Beat the Champ, so let's get rolling. You're watching Storm Beat the Champ, presented by BowlersMart on YouTube.
Like and subscribe to our channel now. Don't miss any of the action.
Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company. By BowlersMart, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. By Latina Boulevard Foods, your favorite family in food distribution. And by Go Bowling. For friends and family fun, log on to GoBowlingNewYork.com to find a center near you. And here we go. It's our first match, and it's Michael Weber and Jarin Kurashige, and there's some interesting stories and connections between the two of them that we'll get to as we move forward, but we get the Beat the Champ debut of the 23-year-old from Hawaii, Jarin Kurashige. Now, people in Buffalo will tell you everything traces back to Buffalo, right? So we kind of know that. And while we did talk about a guy from Hawaii and a guy from Canada, they all have Buffalo connections. And we'll tell you what Jarin's are in a moment as you get his first look at his first strike, and a good start for Jarin Kurashige. The connection is Michael Weber. They were college bowling teammates at Lawrence Tech in Michigan. That's how Mike knows Jarin. That's how Jarin knows the show. Guess where Jarin is staying while he's in Buffalo to bowl on the show? At Mike's house. And both guys want the extra dessert tonight at the Weber house because they're both striking their way through. Scoring and stats powered by Neat Wood Whiskey Wine. So Michael Weber is making his fourth appearance on our show. He is a two-time champion, and that came a couple of months ago when he won a few weeks at Malwitz's Island Lanes and Grand Island, and then advanced to Cherry Laurel Lanes where he was defeated. But we spent a lot of time talking about Mike Weber as being one of the young, bright, up-and-coming stars in Buffalo bowling, or in bowling, period.
Right, absolutely. I mean, got a lot of feedback here on the shows that Mike were on, because mainly no one's seen that kind of power out of someone that throws the ball traditionally. And Jarin, a two-hander, where traditionally you think that's a higher rev rate. Hard to compare to this boy's rev rate right here. He throws a lot of ball.
Yeah,
very hard.
See, even the spare ball is thrown hard, and maybe a little too hard, because that's an open in the second for Michael Weber. So here's the interesting story about Jarin Kurashige. First bowler we've ever had on Beat the Champ from the state of Hawaii. And again, I had a chance to talk to him a little bit before, and he's a systems engineer. That was his major in college. He wanted to find a college that he could both major in engineering and also bowl, and he found himself himself to Lawrence Tech in Michigan, and he said, hey, you know what, it was, I didn't mind getting away from the island a little bit either. So again, as much as we would like to think he was sitting on the beach in Oahu watching Beat the Champ, decided he wanted to fly to Buffalo to be on the show, it's not quite that glamorous of a story.
Yeah, well, you need the passion for bowling that goes along with it, which he had, that brought him here to a bowling program that he knew would be good for him.
Yeah.
And
so that's where he meets his teammate Michael Weber. They bowl together. They have remained friends together. He watched Michael on our show a couple of months ago, and as Jarin said, he and another one of his teammates that we'll see coming up on a future show had nothing going on this week and no tournament, so they hopped in the car and drove to Buffalo.
that ball was snapping up just a little bit high for him. He caught a break there on the right lane, and the inevitable result was going to be a 4-pin. Just balls picking up a hair early right there, driving a little too hard.
All right.
Breaking up the split, just leaving the 4-pin.
Tell us what kind of conditions our bowlers are dealing with here today at the Tonawanda Bowling Center.
Right, this is not your traditional house shot, which I think Mike Weber actually grew up bowling here, here in Manor Lanes, but so not what he's used to, not a help to him at all today. This is a modified, I guess what I call a modified shot. It's a challenge shot. Not quite as hard as a sports shot, but definitely not as scoreable as a house shot.
Yes, medium scoring shot is the description for what these guys are dealing with on synthetic lanes that are considered a little more higher friction than normal. What does that challenge entail?
I mean, there's two really dominant synthetic surfaces. One being the AMF surface, that's the Anvilane, and or I'm sorry, the HPL, and the Brunswick is Anvilane. One a little bit more friction than the other, but at the end of the day, it still matters what the oil pattern put out there is. And in this case, it's flatter. It's not as flat as a sports shot, but when we say flat, we're saying that there isn't as much variation between the oil in the middle of the lane as on the outside of the lane. Just a little bit closer, which means you can play where you want to play, but you have to be accurate.
And that is a strike, 2 in a row for Michael Weber to follow up that open. And now back to the 23-year-old from Hawaii, Jarin Kurashige, part of a 2023 NAIA National Championship for the Lawrence Tech Bowlers.
And again, you'll see I don't want to say the cream rise to the top, but people with more experience on these tougher lane conditions, on these flatter patterns, and you're going to see the college bowlers, you're going to see the tournament bowlers that really go outside the area to bowl, because they're going to see these patterns more often than your house bowlers are ever going to see.
And that almost gets the 10.
Honestly, that was his best shot, and of course, ring 10.
We haven't seen a lot of two-handers over the last couple of months, right? I think we, at one point, mentioned that we were surprised because it's such a popular trend in the sport of bowling. So the Jarin's really the first two-hander we've seen in a little bit.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so he'll try to get a second consecutive spare here. You know, and again, if anybody knows the challenge of bowling against his competitor, it's Jarin. He's spent a lot of time bowling against Michael Weber and knows how good Michael is. So, second time ever on TV for Jarin. He said he was on a television show in Hawaii when he was about 15 years old. So this is just the second time. Now, again, as you said, bowled NAIA championships, high-level college tournaments, local tournaments, but we've always talked about guys that haven't been on TV have to take a little while to get used to it.
Yep, the lights are bright, and you just know something special is going on, and of course the cameras and the lights are distracting. But this condition is, you know, we're gonna see some variation in ball reaction here. We're not gonna just see them plastered in the pocket all day. Like this one was off a little bit, and it's 2-pin, and accuracy is gonna be key. That's the one thing with the two-handers is it's opens them up to more area for the most part. That rev rate gives them a little more area, but when the lane condition is flat, that's not always an advantage. I mean, in this case, repetition is going to be the most important thing.
23 years old from right here in Tonawanda is Michael Weber.
Great shot.
As you pointed out, Sue spent a lot of time in this bowling center as a kid growing up and bowling here.
Yep, he's a Tonawanda guy. I mean,
Yep. 239 current average for Michael Weber, and again on the list of achievements, aside from being part of that national championship and a collegiate All-American at Lawrence Tech, he won last year's, or 2025's, Obenauer Masters tournament here in Buffalo, which is considered the most difficult and prestigious tournament in this town to win. That is a strike. That is 4 in a row for Michael Weber. We come to our first time out here. We are off and rolling. It is Beat the Champ.
Presented by BowlersMart.
Plenty of options.
Chamois, jerseys, balls bags, and shoes. The highest quality products you'll find on the market, and here at BowlersMart, we make sure to find the correct access point of any bowler to maximize their benefits from our products and ensure a great experience. Stop by today and let us help you, because at BowlersMart, every bowler matters.
Sixth frame now for Jarin Kurashige, and he probably knows as well as any of us that he's looking at his competitor and ex-teammate running off a whole bunch of strikes and knows he's going to have to try to do the same here.
right. He went from up in this match because of the missed spare to now he's down a mark. He's down 10 pins and some count just because of all the strikes in a row. Not that he's bowled badly.
Oh, a nice little nudge of the 7-pin gets Jarin a sixth frame strike.
Gonna have to start putting them together now.
Yeah. And we will see in up and coming in the next couple of weeks, another one of Jarin and Michael's Lawrence Tech teammates has qualified for our show, so that'll be a couple of weeks from now. So at least Jarin didn't have to drive here by himself, right?
Are they all staying at the Weber house?
I believe they are all staying at the Weber house, yes.
So the best room is based on finish today?
Maybe, maybe you get to decide how hot you want the wings or whatever. I don't know what the prize there is.
Ooh,
but
in a little bit. Now that
that's
held
a
up
pretty
really
shot.
nicely for him.
Very pretty from Jarin Kurashige.
Yep, playing the lanes a little differently from what I can see. The left lane seems to have a bit more hold, go up the boards on it, where on the right lane, the target seems to be a little bit more to the right.
We've had about a dozen bowlers who have won multiple weeks in a row here on Beat the Champ. One of them is Michael Weber, and we said that happened a couple of months ago when he won 2 weeks in a row at Malwitz's Island Lanes. And he would like to put another streak together. It is 5 strikes in a row for Michael Weber. It is 6 of the 7 frames. The only blemish is an open when he missed a 1-pin spare in the second frame, but Michael Weber is really rolling right now. And you just can see, like, the shots are perfect. They track perfect. They hit the pocket perfect. Like, everything he's doing is pretty much perfect right now.
Again, you see that the target is much deeper on this left lane. He went over the 15 board on that, the third arrow, and definitely target more to the right on the right lane. So these bowlers have settled into figuring out the nuances of this pair.
Yeah,
and they're both playing them the right way now.
And I was going to say the spin around to take out the 10 pin was perfect on that one.
That was definitely much needed to keep his 11-pin lead.
Oh, almost another strike for Jarin. He could not quite get the nudge.
A little less ball speed here. This was a little slow. Read a little early off the right. He got it out to the right where he wanted to, but his ball speed is just a little slow, and I don't know if it looks slow next to Mike Weber.
Well, I'm laughing because I'm thinking you just said that, and I'm thinking you could say that about any bowler other than Michael Weber.
And Mike uses that speed to his
a little
advantage.
less ball speed. Yeah, I would, again, we've had so many great bowlers on our show here, and I'm not sure that there are maybe one or two that throw it harder or as hard as Michael Weber.
Right, but he uses that speed to his advantage. I mean, he's getting it to taper down the lane condition, to control the lane condition, and he can soften it a bit if he needs to too, because I've seen him do that as well. So that's a nice tool in your arsenal, is to be able to speed it up and slow it down as you need to.
Yeah, because, one of the things that you've taught me from our experience here on the show is throwing it hard does not always equal throwing it well.
Right. Well, you have to control 3 parts of the lane. You're looking at the heads, the mid lane, and the back of the lane. So if you throw it too hard and spray it through the front of the lane, now all of a sudden you may need that to get to your break point. So you can spray it right through that and create bigger problems for yourself.
9th frame.
What a shot.
And the results are exactly the same. That is 7 in a row for Michael Weber. 8 career 300s and high 833 in his career.
A little head shake on that one. It seemed like he didn't, when he came back, he was shaking his head and looked very similar to the other shots to me.
It sure did. Maybe it tailed a little bit towards the head pin.
I think it ran a little bit out of steam, being that the 5-7 was the last to go down. But
and there you see Michael's folks looking on. And another one. That's 8 in a row for Michael Weber.
and that is going to be enough to seal this deal.
So in the battle of former college teammates, it's going to be Michael Weber that is going to claim that title and advance on to our second match. And again, we have seen what he can do on our previous shows. He has a win-loss record of 4-1. So once he finds the rhythm, it's hard to beat him, and it is hard to think that he has not found the rhythm here.
Yeah.
And he is going to post up a monster score to get us started.
I mean, a 10-pin away from 300 is all we are.
One missed spare. That missed by a half an inch. Strikes across the board, except for that one. Let's see if he can finish it with another one. Yes, he can. A dominant performance by Michael Weber. A 268 takes us to match 2. Weber and Rick Frank coming up next. It's Rick Frank and Michael Weber, match number 2. Weber's already taken down our 50th state. Can he take down our friends to the north? Because Rick Frank comes to us from Canada, so it's an international flair to this week's Beat the Champ.
What's really Buffalo about this, though, is Weber's mustard and Frank's hot sauce.
What's really Buffalo?
I looked up at the board, and that's what I thought.
What's really Buffalo about this is Rick Frank was born in a Buffalo suburb.
That's true.
And now lives in Canada. Now, that's the first time that Weber got that kind of ball reaction and that late hook.
So let's talk about that. He did try a different ball on his fill ball when he finished up the last match to try to open the lane up a little bit more because, again, this lane plays a little deeper than the other lane, and he got that in. So, and he went back to the ball that he used the entire game. He did not use the ball he tested, but he, in turn, got this ball in, and it shows him that, you know, how much room he has is limited.
He had 10 strikes in a row to wrap up that 268, and here he starts with an open. An open did not hurt him in the first match. Let's see what happens with this one, and now it's Rick Frank's door opening opportunity, making his second appearance here on Beat the Champ. We saw him earlier in our season number 2 at the ABC Gates Bowl in Rochester. And Rick was our high qualifier here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center.
Oop, that stuck on his hand a little bit.
Yeah, you can see him shaking his hand there. Thankfully, he got the results he wanted.
Yep, what saved him there was the loft, because the way this stuck on his hand, he negated the heads altogether. And
Is
so
that
the ball,
painful at all? He almost looks like he's
I don't know
shaking
what he
it like
did.
it hurt.
Yeah, I don't know if it stuck or, yeah, whatever it did tweak him a bit.
45 years old from Waterdown, Ontario, Canada, just across the border here. If you're not entirely familiar with our geography, that Waterdown is probably inside of an hour away from where we are here in Western New York, but a native of West Seneca, New York, which is a Buffalo suburb. We have told Rick's story before. He went to college in Canada and decided to settle there, got married, and now works for Environment and Climate Change Canada as a research scientist, doing good work up there across the border.
So often people go to college and end up staying where they went.
Good spare pickup in the second frame for Rick Frank.
A lot of good bowling there in Canada, though. There's a lot of weekend tournaments, great weekend leagues, so it's nice when, you know, they start coming our way, bowling some of these tournaments. They really have a lot of experience.
Rick said he did bring a few of his Canadian buddies down for qualifying for this week's show, and he was the only one that actually made the show. All right, so Michael Weber with the open in the first seems to have, again, I only say lost his way because he had 10 strikes in a row in the first match, and it's a little surprising to see him not be locked in.
Well, lanes are going to change. Regardless of the oil pattern, the lanes are going to change. These high-performance balls, you know, change the oil on the lanes. It absorbs, it moves down, it splashes. So there's going to definitely be adjustments as they go along. And is that to the bowler's advantage who started out on a certain condition and has to change along with it? Or is it the advantage of the person coming on that's seeing that for the first time? In this case, I think Mike has a plan just based on how he tested out that ball. He's thinking ahead. So that bit up a little bit on him. He will move accordingly.
All right, so open spare to begin with for Mike Weber as Rick Frank goes strike spare. And that one went flying up and over the top of the 10. So the results that seemed so easy in match number 1 are not quite as easy now.
Yep, and let me tell you, as a bowler, you see this more often than you don't. When you make that move to pick up more oil, it's fresh in there, and then you start seeing the 10 pins because it is in the oil, and as you can see, the ball kind of hit just a little bit light. Once you change your angle, you change how the ball hits the pocket, and your carry all of a sudden changes.
And Mike took a little bit of frustrations out by throwing that one about 100 miles an hour to take the 10 pin out.
Yeah, one thing you can't count on is throwing 11 strikes in a game. So now he's going to have to think through this transition and get through it.
45 years old with a current 222 average is Rick Frank. That one got a little high and leaves him a couple of pins.
Yeah, he's a lot more down in it, you see it, than Mike is. So, you know, although, you know, break points can be similar, I think that initial first shot where it stuck on his hand, that kind of plays on you after, because you get a little bit more tentative when you think that the ball doesn't feel right or that might happen. And he's going to have to shake that off. And he's grabbing that hand, so I don't know if he hurt something.
I'll tell you, again, it just, the reaction immediately was what you see when somebody tweaks something or unexpectedly something moves away it's not supposed to move. Again, we're not trainers, we're not doctors, we don't know. I'm just going by that initial reaction of shaking the hand was like, ooh, I hope he didn't hurt something there. So we have gone through 7 frames right now. We have only 1 strike. Wouldn't have guessed that.
Right. And to Rick's advantage, he's got that 10-pin advantage from that open from Michael in the first frame. And right now they're both trying to feel this pair out. So, making your spares right now is super critical when you're trying to grind out a match.
All right, so now we flip it back over to Michael to try to continue to grind things out here.
So the last shot on this lane, we saw the ball hook up on him. So I'm anticipating that he's going to have to move his feet in. And again, he's going to change his angle up just a little bit. Or you throw it harder, which he has the ability to do.
Just blow those pins out of the back of the pit. Do that too.
He can definitely overpower a lane condition.
So cool to see the rotation on the ball as it spins its way down there and takes care of all those pins. So his first strike of the match comes in the 4th frame, and based on what we know we've seen not just in the first match but previously from Michael, there's a good chance it's the first of many. Love the determined look on his face too.
Oof.
And right now those corner pins are giving both guys a little bit of agitation.
Good adjustment, though. Good adjustment. That ball, he needed the ball to hit up a little higher, set up a little higher in the pocket, which he did. This is an unfortunate break, but I think he's got this figured out. So hopefully Rick does too.
And again, the benefit that Michael has is all that we've talked about, being a high-level college bowler, bowling for national championships, bowling in that Obenauer Masters here, where if you don't make the right adjustments and read the lanes right and know when to change your equipment, you can't win that grueling tournament. And all of those things are what moves Michael into that very select group of upper-level bowlers.
Right,
not that Rick and Jarin and those guys aren't in it, but that experience, I guess let me ask you, how much does that experience count for these guys?
Well, it counts at the end of the match mostly when you're in a position where you have to make a shot, because you've been in that position enough times to not be nervous about it, intimidated by it. That's where I see the experience play the biggest part. But another thing is the panic doesn't set in because you've seen stuff before. And the worst thing for bowling is to second guess yourself and not commit to a shot, because then the ball goes all over the place. You have to be secure in what you're looking at and have to make a confident shot. The minute you get nervous, it's over.
Did you notice the look on Rick there? A little bit of
he made a great shot.
A little
there.
bit of look to the sky, a little bit of please, I need some strikes. 4 spares in a row after a first frame strike for Rick Frank. And not that Michael Weber is doing Michael Weber things, but Rick has to know that he needs to start striking, and that isn't going to help.
Rick's playing these lanes very much right to left, and the ball just picks up for him. On the right lane there, he was a little bit straighter, but honestly, the right to left is the ball's just going to go high every time.
Picket fence on the right-hand side, and they all go down, so it's yet another spare for Rick Frank. It is Beat the Champ at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. Back in a moment.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends,
great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
we are
The Bowling Proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
Michael Weber gets set to go here in the 6th frame. He's got a chance to go on a little bit of a run here. Bowled in high school here in the Buffalo area at St. Joseph's Collegiate Institute. Talked about his college prowess, and part of that college success was bowling in the ITC Team Championships, which meant he had a chance to do some bowling on TV before, and we've talked so much about how that can be an advantage. 8 career 300 games and a high 833 series for Michael Weber.
Well, here's another place where it's the advantage is that we are bowling on not your traditional house shot, and you see that more when you bowl tournaments, you bowl college, you bowl, internationally. You're going to see, you're not going to see a house shot in any of those places. So that experience on these type of patterns, another thing, getting the nerves out, because you don't have, it becomes more flat, so you don't have a lot of oil to your left to hold your ball out. You don't have a lot of dry to your right to draw the ball in. This is more about accuracy, a flatter pattern. This is a medium scoring condition, not your typical house shot. That's a higher scoring condition. So execution, every shot is critical.
And I think what we're seeing now is interesting that Mike Weber has to grind out a win here, right? Obviously in the last one where he just pounded the pins for a 268, none of that is happening now. So now it becomes, can you bunt your way to a win? Can you flare a single, to use a baseball analogy, right? You're not hitting home runs right now.
Well, at this point in a bowling match, spares are critical, and he was the only one to miss a spare, and that's why he's down 10 pins.
Didn't miss that spare. So that's 3 spares in a row for Michael Weber in 5, 6, and 7, and now Rick Frank, who has 5 spares in a row, gets set to go to the 7th frame.
To take it one step further, count really matters too, because 9 counts will really, over the course of a 10-frame match, will get you a lot more pins than if your opponent's leaving 6, 7 counts. I mean, you're picking up two pins every frame, even if you are making your spares. So count really matters too.
And there's the strike for Rick Frank. Not since the first frame has he had one of those.
Well, he changed balls, and he has a more pearlized, shiny surface ball. Oh, actually, it's just a little bit shinier. I had to see that ball come off the rack. But a ball change he felt was necessary, and he got the pin collision that he needed.
So let's see if he can start a little run again. He had the lead coming in here, even though he would tell you this has not been pretty, and that's not pretty either.
Tighter lane, so his first time throwing that ball on that lane. And that lane has shown us to be tighter down the lane. You saw that ball never reacted in the back end, and it's just tighter down the lane on the left side.
Rick was our high qualifier heading into today's show here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center at 724 series to be our high qualifier. 8th frame, looking for another spare, and he'll only get one. A little bit of the sleeper situation there, and he was only able to get the front pin. So now that's an open in the 8th for Rick, and that should bring this thing back together. Well, it is a super tight match coming down the stretch here. 8th frame for Michael Weber. And that's a much needed strike.
Well, that flipped the lead right there. That puts him up 4. And this is where the count over the course of this game came into effect. Even though they both have a missed spare, Michael's count has been better through the course of the first 8 frames.
Yeah, and Rick just had an open in the 8th frame that allowed Michael Weber to take the lead back. Man, that 7-pin slid almost all the way across the lanes.
He
there,
creates some
didn't it?
pin action, no doubt.
And that one is just pure get out of my way. Back-to-back strikes for Michael Weber, turning it up right at the most important time. So now Rick Frank heads to the 9th frame, coming off an open, knowing he needs to strike a lot here. And there you go.
Oh, he knew as soon as he missed that sleeper pin on the left lane that was a game changer here. You couldn't give Michael that opening. Great recovery here on the right lane, but he just got lined up on that lane. And this lane too, we have to see what his adjustment is after that 2-8 after the last shot.
10th frame. That's a double for Rick Frank and a chance to add some more.
Well, he can take this to 201, which could put a little pressure on Mike to have to perform in the 10th.
One more coming for our Canadian via Buffalo suburb.
Great shot.
Terrific. 3 in a row now for Rick Frank. One more, the fill ball to post up a final score. And as you said, put the pressure back on Michael Weber.
Right, this is going to force
Yeah,
Mike.
look at a double fist pump.
Absolutely, he's forcing Mike to have to throw a strike in the 10th. The spare will not do.
Oh, just that 10-pin couldn't get nudged down. So it's a 200 for Rick Frank, and Michael Weber toes the line in the 10th frame, needing a strike and 8 pins to win.
I mean, this goes to show you that the highest scoring matches aren't necessarily the best matches. This is one great match right here. This has it all in it. It has count, it has adjustments, it has now striking out and forcing a strike on a tough condition.
There's the strike that he needed. So now just 8 pins on the second shot of the 10th frame will move Mike Weber into our championship match against Derrick Geschwender. Yeah, only one fist pump, but just as good. Now, again, the way this match has gone at 8 pins is not a lock. And I think Rick Frank knows that.
Wow.
Oh,
wow.
He gets 9 barely.
What could have very well been a bucket.
Wow. That was incredible. Again, you think 8 pins might be easy for a big thrower like that? You saw how close he came to not getting it. Talk about skinnier, whatever, man. Talk about a narrow victory. How about 204 to 200? It's Weber and it's Geschwender. Championship match next. You're watching Storm Beat the Champ, presented by BowlersMart on YouTube.
Like and subscribe to our channel now. Don't miss any of the action.
Championship match for our first week here at the Tonawanda Bowling Center. Derrick Geschwender versus Michael Weber. Weber has a couple of championships already on his resume. So does Derrick, having been our returning champion from last week's show at the Town Edge Bowling Center. So Weber would like to get back to being a champion, and here is his chance.
Wow.
Well, that thing made a left turn.
Wow.
That looked like somebody who missed the off ramp, and
so if you look at this,
and cut across 3 lanes of traffic.
He did get it righter than desired, but it just hit that spot and left turned. That's definitely right of where they've been playing. They've been keeping the ball
Don't read lips,
on line
kids.
on the left lane.
Don't read lips.
Wow.
And it looks like a ball change. Clearly a ball change. Either that or Michael's like, I'm done. I'm out of here.
That looks like he's grabbing some urethane to me.
Yeah, so obviously something he did not like about that shot is now prompting him to go back to the bag 3 rows behind us here.
Well, transition is less predictable on a flat pattern. I mean, when you're talking about a house shot with a lot of disparity in ratio, the transition's a little bit more predictable.
30.
I'm sorry, this is more based on how the bowlers are playing them, but go ahead.
Gotcha. No, I was just going to tell everybody, 34 years old from West Seneca, New York, is Derrick Geschwender, regional product owner at Rich Products, and he is coming off an impressive 3-match-in-a-row run to wrap up last week's show that included a victory over Mike Zarcone in the championship match. Sizable victory, 229 to 196. So 3rd appearance here on the show for Derrick Geschwender.
Keeping in mind that at Town Edge, that was the nice spare. Very important spare, nice spare.
Well done.
He was bowling in a house that he qualified in. That was the League Bowler Show that he won. So now we've brought him to a place that he's not as familiar with. And he did bowl the actual qualifier here to get a feel for this house.
Smart. Very smart on his part.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's always the challenge when we change venues, because the last winner from venue number 1 transitions to our defending champion in venue number 2, and sometimes they are radically different. Sometimes they're places that the bowlers have never been to before. So very smart on Derrick's part to have bowled the qualifier just enough to get a feel. And I also asked him, I said the difference was, you know, when last week you bowled 3 in a row, this one you sat and watched the first 2. How are you going to handle that? And he said, he goes, I'm going to watch. I'm going to try to go throw a few shots on the practice lanes just to stay in rhythm.
Right, but as a left-hander, he's bowling a totally fresh condition as well.
And there's a classic Michael Weber strike in the 2nd frame. So with the 2 wins that he has won in various ways and various scores of 268 and 204, he's upped his win-loss record here on Beat the Champ to 6-1. Trying to get his 3rd championship.
That's an interesting stat because it tells you really what a bowler is made out of when it comes to finishing a match. I mean, I think that Michael's proven that he can bring it when he needs to.
Late, but late. They don't ask when. They just ask, did it go down?
Yeah, that's right. Looks great on the scoreboard. But again, he's moved everything in. You don't see him leaking it to the right as he did in that shot that left turned on him in the 1st frame.
That was like that. Trust me, it was not slow motion the way that one fell. Way left that time for Derrick. And you can see that it stayed left and left him another challenging spare.
Yes, he did get a choice on, as the champ, he got a choice on where he wanted to. Another great spare.
Yeah.
Little trick shots there on the right
That's
line.
That's awesome.
He got a choice as to where he wanted to, whether he wanted to start the match or finish the match. And it can be based on, how you feel about whether you feel confident that you want to close it out, but it also can be based on lane condition. And in this case, these lanes are different. And I think he chose the lane to finish on based on where he had the better shot.
And that's a pretty strike in the 4th frame for Derrick Geschwender. So it's 4th frame now for Michael Weber. He is working a double after sort of muddling his way through that 204 to get the win in the last match where he only had 1 run of consecutive strikes.
So here as lanes start to snap a little harder for him in the back, he's actually trying to overpower it by throwing it as hard as he can. In this case, we talk about spraying it through the fronts. This one went too long on him and didn't get a chance to recover. So as great as that speed is for you, still a matter of control.
And successful on the spare in the 4th frame. Our host center for Storm Beat the Champ, presented by BowlersMart, is the Tonawanda Bowling Center. You can find them online at tonawandabowling.net. They're just one of our many great host centers. And if you want details on how you can be a part of Beat the Champ, just stop in at any of our host centers and ask them, how can I be on the show? And we might be seeing you here on the lanes. And if you are, and you got a bowl against a guy named Michael Weber, you better bring your A game. But now that we know that you are not Alaska and Hawaii are not disqualifying for being here on Beat the Champ, nor are foreign countries. So no matter where you are or where you come from or where you're watching this show, just get here and be a part of it.
That shot there never made a turn for him. So they are starting to change for him.
All right, what's the challenge on this cluster of pins?
He's going to use his first ball. He's not going to throw hard and straight at it. He's going to use the lane to make this.
And
always
he'll
a
get
risk.
3 of the 4. Do you want to go right at that one, or do you want to kind of play a pocket feel for that?
Well, the difference being on this type of pattern, you don't have all the oil in the middle to play off of. A traditional way of making that is just to move, about 5 boards right, 6 boards right off your strike ball. That doesn't always work on these patterns. So you want to go as hard and straight as possible at it on this type of condition.
16 career 300s and a high 857 for Derrick Geschwender, who bowled in high school here in the Buffalo area at West Seneca East, collegiately at Canisius University, helped his team win the States as a high school senior, one of the bowling achievements for him. And it's a spare in the 5th frame. And again, this is shaping up as one of these matches where it's going to be tight, it's going to be close, and it might not break 200.
Yeah, that was a really good spot for him to strike and put a hurt on Mike. And disappointed to see a 7-pin, but probably happy not to see something wide open he had to make. Did not like that one. He did not like that.
Nope, you could see it right as soon as the ball left his hand. And now we will see it. Yeah, that's some body language for you.
Yep.
Good spare pickup for Derrick in the 6th frame. It is the BTC here at the TBC. Who's going to be our champion? That is TBD.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
All right, so 3 matches, and in each of them, Michael Weber has had an open frame. So he just had one in the 5th, and how has he fought back from the open frames is kind of been a bit of the story. In the first match, he had an open in the 2nd, and then he rattled off 10 consecutive strikes. Right. In the 2nd, he had an open in the 1st, and that sort of set the tone for the 204 that was able to get him the win. And this was going to have to be a spare opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, he's thinking and tweaking him. In this particular type of lane condition, you have to, you can't let your guard down for a second. And this was a good shot. He was, kind of hoping to get it off the wall, get the pin off the wall to take that 5 out, but left him a pretty makeable spare. But there's just 5 pins difference between these two guys, because strikes aren't as easy to come by.
No, after that run of 10 in a row by Mike, I don't know that we have 10 strikes since then in a match and a half.
Good point.
So it's a 6th frame spare for Michael Weber. Nice thing about Michael Weber is bringing his old college teammates along, and having eliminated one of them already means he's got a built-in cheering section. You can see Jarin Kurashige up over Michael's right shoulder there. And we'll see another one of Michael's college teammates coming up in a few weeks. Then again, those guys are staying at his house, so it's not like they were going to get up and leave. Little split screen for you here in the 7th frame.
He's getting into the pocket, but he's just missing a little bit of that pin collision he's used to getting with all those revs.
Are the big throwers any more prone to kind of losing it a little bit the way they throw? I mean, they're just so powerful, and the speed and the power. Does that make it, when you stop doing that, does it make it harder to get back?
No, they're more. I guess that's a tough question, depending on how much experience they have. In Mike's case, he's a big thrower, but he has the ability to tame it down too. So it's actually just another tool in his arsenal. If you're just a league bowler and you wind it up, then you're going to get into trouble. So I think it all just depends on your experience and your knowledge.
All right, let's see who is ready to do some striking, and at this point, no one. We have not had a strike since the 4th frame.
Again, this is one of those things with these medium scoring patterns. They call it medium scoring for a reason.
Yeah.
200 is going to win because it is medium scoring, so you're going to see a lot more spare making.
I'll be curious to see if that 268 that Michael had in his first match, anyone ever comes close to that for the next 3 weeks. Eighth frame for Derrick Geschwender, 3 spares in a row in what is a very tight match, and we have seen him make 2 incredible spares, and he's going to have to try to pull off a 3rd.
Yeah, we're just talking about how staying out of trouble is probably your best thing here. It's not going to be a high-scoring match, but opens are deadly, and certainly wide-open splits lead to opens.
Well, it's going to be an open at a very inopportune time down the stretch of this match in the 8th frame.
Again, and count becomes a factor too, and other than the 1 bucket Mike left, he's been able to keep the ball close to the pocket and in play, and that's what he needs. He just needs to get good pin count and makeable spares.
for a
one way to
moment
get
there,
it.
for a moment there, it looked like that was absolutely not what was going to happen until we had the sort of synchronized falling pins coming at us here.
Interesting pin collision.
I have not.
Definitely
I don't feel like I've seen that happen
I
on
don't
this
know
show.
if I've seen that. Very interesting.
That was very odd.
Made this spare a lot easier.
I bet. See, you watch this show long enough, you'll see something that you'd never seen before.
You know, I mean, 7 to 9 is pretty good when you're talking about a match this close.
All right, so that's 3 consecutive spares for Michael Weber to follow up his open in the 5th. You know, and if Michael is able to win this and becomes our champion, I think the question is, like, you went 268. It looked easy. When did it stop? How did it stop being so easy? Derrick's going to have something to say about that first. And
Great
there
shot.
is maybe the best shot since the first game. Everything about this was perfect.
Now we've got
And you
an
knew it.
8-pin match, and a strike here is pretty critical.
Especially following up the open. And it will not happen.
I mean, he had to look for something a little bit different. He's just been leaving flat 7s. He had to take a chance here. Yeah, he tried to get it to the break point a little sooner, and it just ran out of steam. So take the 2. Never know what's going to happen on this.
We have clearly seen in the last 2 matches, you absolutely don't know what's going to happen. Oh, and that's what Derrick did not want to happen, which is only one of those 2. And that is the look on the face of a bowler who is mad at the world, himself, the world. 2 opens at in the 8th and 9th frame. Derrick's been around long enough to know it's hard to win that way.
Yeah, posting up that strike in the 9th it's a good spot for it for Michael.
And there's a good strike in the 10th for Derrick Geschwender. So whoever wins this match heads to next week's show against a lineup of champions. Every bowler on next week's show has been a champion, including the guy who has been our best champion. So it's going to be fun, but it's going to be a challenge for one of these 2 guys.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially on the medium scoring condition. I mean, we've got guys that can throw some big numbers.
Oh yeah.
And how's that going to affect their the lane condition? How is going to show itself in scores? Have to see how they overcome that.
172 is the score for Derrick Geschwender. So all Michael Weber needs is 6 pins, which you might think, oh, he'll get that. But as we've learned over the last match or so, there's no guarantees about anything.
Oh, he's been good about keeping it in play.
6 pins needed, 10 pins knocked down. And it's going to be Michael Weber who is going to get his 3rd championship and advance on to next week's show. We'll find out what went through Mike's mind during this match when we come back.
Presented by BowlersMart.
Plenty of options.
Chamois, jerseys, balls bags, and shoes. The highest quality products you'll find on the market, and here at BowlersMart, we make sure to find the correct access point of any bowler to maximize their benefits from our products and ensure a great experience. Stop by today and let us help you, because at BowlersMart, every bowler matters.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are
The bowling proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company. By BowlersMart, trusted by bowlers around the world since 2004. And by the Bowling Proprietors Association of Western New York. Stop in and enjoy our sport today. For the third time in his career, Michael Weber is our champion, but Sue, this was not easy, and we'll ask him in a second. He had 268 in the first match, then 204 and 211. Learning how to gut things out, how much of an important trait is that?
Well, I think that's something that he definitely acquired from his college career. Came out looking like the lanes were going to be easy, and then all of a sudden that medium scoring pattern showed itself. And how he reacted to it was really important.
Yeah, so how did you handle that? Things looked so easy in that first match, and they were far from easy after that.
You break it down into small chunks, take a deep breath and just make one move at a time. They got a little funky, but I was happy to make the right move, make a good shot.
All right, you advance to next week's show. It's a murderer's row of some of the best guys that have ever been in on this show. DeWitt, Shableski, and Zarcone. You ready for one of them?
Absolutely.
All right, well, I know he's ready. I know those guys are ready. Should be an amazing show with some of the best we've ever had. That's going to be next week when we continue to roll on from the Tonawanda Bowling Center. It is Storm Beat the Champ, presented by BowlersMart.